Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Pisces energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Pisces or Virgo energy. The bottom row, a more shadowy, worldly Virgo energy. We all have our dualistic nature and have to make these decisions in our life. The top row could represent how we are moving forward. The bottom row could represent just some fears we deal with, and then maybe some kind of shadowy people in our life. And some people would like to move forward differently, but the bottom row can kind of represent our comfort zone, and it's hard to step out of our comfort zone, and we have to work through some of our fears and self-limiting beliefs to kind of move forward in life a little differently. And we know that maybe it would mean we'd have to quit a job or quit doing certain habits or hanging out with certain people, and all those are things that we need to take into consideration. So while some people are moving forward, working through fears as they go, and that's like high vibe energy. We all have our shadow nature. It's just that they offer love and encouragement to themselves to not let their fear or their insecurity or their lust or their greed or their pride or their ego or something make them go repeat some poor past patterns. And they keep tempering themselves to keep moving forward, having more hope and faith and belief in themselves. Some people aren't battling within themselves. Some people are moving forward. Some other people decided, I'm happy where I'm at, and we're all ready to move forward at different stages in life. We've all got different lessons to learn. We're all happy staying at certain phases of life. Then other people could be happy staying at that phase of life. Let's go look at the top row. The reason for the top row's reading is the Three of Swords, which is Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. We were dealing with something that we could have felt heartbroken, or we felt stuck. We didn't feel it was just and fair. And it could have been really difficult because we could have really wanted it to work out. We could feel like we didn't get justice in a situation, but we accepted the truth that our truth isn't the same as everybody else's truth. What we think is just and fair, other people could have their idea of what is just and fair, like how to treat people or behave or conduct themselves, and different ways of the way that we want to live life. High vibe people are more independent of their more worldly, shadowy nature to listen to their intuition and wanting things to be just and fair based on truth and love. So, what's going on in the top row? We have the Hierophant, the Queen of Wands, the Page of Wands, and the Ten of Wands. So, the Hierophant can be about, in your own Taurus energy of yourself and your philosophy of life, you could know some people are living your life a certain way that you realized it kept you stuck, or doing certain habits or hanging out with certain people. Kind of how you wanted to move forward was different, and you were willing to see the truth of it. That your truth, how you want to move forward, what you think is just and fair, is different than it used to be, because generally we're kind of healing and growing and maturing ourselves over time. Sometimes you could have been being a loving and encouraging person to someone, but eventually we have to see the truth that they have to be inspired within themselves to get more balance, to heal, to love and believe in themselves. We can still be a loving, encouraging person in people's lives, but if they're not inspired within themselves to deal with the truth and get more balance within themselves, eventually we're going to keep moving on. Can still be a loving and encouraging person in their life, but, we want to probably invest more of our time, energy, and effort into people who are more balanced, who we do feel walk the talk, who we kind of have, there's no disagreement on thinking that love is to be just and fair, and you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And if some people uh, kind of have a different idea about it, that's okay. I can treat you the way I treat anybody in the world. Do I want to invest more time, energy, and effort into you? No, I'm gonna spend more of my time with people who I do think are kind of more on the same page as me. And so in the Queen of Wands, the masculine figures can talk about the action that we're taking. The feminine figures can talk about how we think and feel. So whether people are male or female, the people who felt kind of heartbroken that they weren't going to get justice in a situation, they didn't think it was just and fair, tempered their own ego to grow up and mature themselves if it's just within them. They were inspired to, keep moving forward. In the Page of Wands, kind of having that hopeful, believing spirit. Being inspired within yourself to live your authentic life. You don't want your own shadowy nature to manipulate you. You don't want the world to manipulate you. You don't want other people in the world to manipulate you. Wanting to work together with people who are loving and encouraging and authentic and inspiring. And because of that, maybe had to work through some defensiveness, because we can get out of some situations in our life and then we can move forward in new situations in our life, from jobs to friendships to relationships. And it takes time. It's like each phase of life is a phase. We don't learn everything we need to learn, and we don't grow and mature in a day. It can take years, kind of like we go from like age 15 to age 17, and then we might go from age 18 to age 20, and then 21 to 25. It takes time, because we enjoy each of those phases of life, or we wouldn't have done them. But we enjoy that phase of life, but then we're inspired kind of within ourselves that I want to keep moving forward. The Ten of Wands can be about keep closing out cycles, because we keep shedding old versions of ourselves, just like we shed being a 15-year-old to be an 18-year-old. Then we shed being more like an 18-year-old to be more like a 21-year-old. I want to keep facing my fears. I want to keep challenging myself. I periodically want to look through my baggage that I might carry with me. We can carry baggage with us, past pain, heartbreak, self-limiting beliefs, all those things. And as we go through these different stages of life, we might deal with aspects of some of that baggage, and we work through something. We kind of go to the next phase of life. We kind of hopefully grow up and mature ourselves some, but then we've got to stay at that phase of life for a while, and we could not even know that really anything is kind of manipulating us in a way, because we're kind of in that phase, that growth phase. It won't be till maybe later that we kind of realize we've experienced a lot of things during a phase of life, and we could keep doing that phase of life again, or we kind of listen to our intuition and we keep moving forward. And as we go, we offer truth and love and encouragement to the people in our life. And we could have people in our life who do that to us, and we keep moving forward with them. It's just and fair in High Vibe Libra for us to keep growing and healing and maturing ourselves. And the Ten of Wands is Sagittarius energy, which is about higher learning and education, which is, kind of wrapping your brain around this game of life. And we all have the free will to manifest whatever we want. If we really enjoyed being like a 21-year-old, we could live like a 21-year-old all our life. We would never have to temper our fears, temper our ego, temper, our more immature nature. We could just get older, but we could keep living life like a 21-year-old, right? And we can be at different stages. When we were at one stage, other people moved on. They were more stable, more grounded, maybe more mature than we were. And sometimes we were the one who moved on. And then sometimes we had people who kept moving forward with us, because We had people in our life who were loving and encouraging to us. We kind of had some of these same viewpoints in life of what we kind of thought was just and fair and acting with character and integrity, and kind of what motivated and inspired us. We kind of, we can like doing different things, but we also can have things that we like doing together. Um, and we kind of keep moving forward with those people. Are they necessarily, it's just like we could have family who moves forward with us, but do we spend majority of our time maybe with our brothers or our sisters or our mom or our dad or our kids, when everybody's like adults? No, because they have their own life. But do we still can we still be loving and encouraging people to each other and enjoy each other, and just high vibe energy is also respecting everybody as individuals, that they have their own dreams and aspirations, and things and people that they is unique to them, and we have ours. And but can we still be loving and encouraging people to each other, as we could go on these different paths and routes, and at different times? Yeah. Can we all be sad if somebody who we more had spent more time, energy, and effort with seems to ready to move forward and we're not? Yeah. If we're the ones ready to move forward, can some other people be sad that, we don't want to kind of keep repeating a certain pattern, and we're ready to move forward differently? There's something about it we think is unjust, unfair, you know? And other people could have moved on from us because they thought we were acting kind of unjust, unfair, right? Um, and we can always have shadowy people in the top row, because shadowy people can be where they really don't act with character and integrity. They really haven't tempered their ego, but they want to be in friendship and relationship with people, and could like to present themselves as a more stable, grounded, emotionally mature, just, fair, balanced person, loving person than they really are. And those people can try to get in relationships with people who are more balanced, just, fair, loving, and then they want to move forward with them, but that's not really the truth of who they are. Especially if it's going to be romantic, it should be based on truth and love. Some people just kind of more want to indulge themselves in a relationship. That can be shadowy energy. But I don't want to stay where I'm at. I want to be in a different friendship or relationship. You seem nice. You seem loving and encouraging and just and fair. I want to move forward with you. It's like, but as you could get to know them, from the one wand of the page to the 10 of wands, that is, the wands can be about communication and kind of going on this journey with people. And we can kind of go on this journey. We like certain people, we get in certain jobs, we're enjoying certain activities, and we move forward in that way. And then, again, it could be like we went through a phase. It's just like getting to maybe know someone. Well, then in between here is the 9 of wands. Is it ever going to go beyond that? Are we ever going to maybe bring justice to the situation? Or is this just where with some people, the relationship always kind of stays more in the friend zone, and you could kind of realize, they could kind of realize, whoever, that I don't really think we're on, we could know people at work, say, and yep, this just stays as a work friendship. Can I like them? Can they like me? Is it ever going to go outside of the workplace? Maybe not, you know? Um, with other people, we might move forward with them. The 9 of wands can be that people are defensive to closing out an old cycle, becoming independent of one phase of life or viewing life. They maybe like to keep moving forward the way it is, but if the other people keep moving forward the way it is, they could feel a little overwhelmed and a little heartbroken, and feel that the reason they are more continuing to stay in it is because they're kind of afraid of becoming independent of it. And people can do that for quite a long time, but if you feel like you're the one putting in most of the work and effort is what the Ten of Wands can be, trying to move things forward, being loving and encouraging and supportive, and other people are, they could lack some inspiration within themselves. We have the Two of Wands, the Three, the Four, the Five, the Six, the Seven, the Eight. Part of that can be we can all move forward in things. But again, some people have a way of living life or viewing life where they just want to keep moving forward that way. And other people are like, everything kind of has its phase. It's like sometimes even, getting a job. You take a job, you learn how to do that job. Well, I am motivated and inspired within myself to keep growing and healing and maturing myself. If I feel like I am capable of taking on more responsibility, I am willing to do that. And even though it might be a little overwhelming, I have a dream of getting the justice I deserve and challenging myself and loving and believing in myself. And they're motivated to do that. And then you could have other people at a workplace that could learn their job very well, and they never want to move forward any differently. And that's fine. Different strokes for different folks, but it can be hard, say, if it's an employer and they hope everybody who starts in a job that will learn things. And it's just kind of like in a relationship. We all get in friendships and relationships. Hopefully we're motivated and inspired to keep moving forward in them. And sometimes we might find some people just wanted to indulge in it. They were never planning to bring justice to the situation. They were never really motivated and inspired, just like you can have an employee or coworker that really isn't motivated and inspired. Well, I thought we were just going to do this, like maybe forever. And it's like, well, no, I wasn't planning on doing that forever. Time moves by. You kind of get motivated and inspired by different things. You work through some fears and insecurities, your self-limiting beliefs. You have more confidence within yourself. You believe, I think I can do it. And you move forward and you go forward a little differently than you did before. And some of you are doing that, and some people in your life, they're not ready, or they're not your idea of what motivates you, and you could just be more motivated than some other people. Virgo energy is about putting in this work and effort. You could just be a really curious person. That's kind of fire sign energy. But if you're really curious about things, you have a natural curiosity. Other people might not have a natural curiosity. Just to learn things, just to experience things, just to maybe even just be more bold and brave and confident within yourself. Can they all like being in friendship and relationship with you? Yeah, but it's not within them. And if that is what's within you, and High Vibe Virgo, I want to work through my fears and insecurities and things that manipulate me to be more independent, more free to live my more authentic life, not letting my ego run my life or my want for some of these things of the world manipulate me, where I'm not kind of more living my truth and get myself in situations where I could feel overwhelmed and kind of heartbroken because our truth is different. What drives and motivates us is different. If I'm kind of more motivated and inspired to keep growing and healing and maturing myself, and maybe a very curious person, can I have people in my life who aren't that at all? Yeah. Can I love them? Yes. But I'm probably going to want to go hang out more with people who are kind of curious about life or more motivated and inspired to work through their fears and insecurities, to get the justice they deserve. And sometimes we're just on different pages at different times with people. And we kind of see the truth of it, and we wish people peace and love. But I'm ready to move forward differently, and some people will move forward with you. You could be moving forward with some people who you already are in that energy, and some people won't. So let's go look at the bottom row. In the bottom row, we have a card. Okay, how many? Oh, Jiminy. Oh, I'm not going to look at all those. This could represent, let me count to be curious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, that's kind of funny. 11 is the Justice card, which is Libra energy. I was kind of wondering if it would be 9. But, you know, you could learn more lessons than some other people have, just that maybe you're more immature nature, stubborn nature, prideful nature, manipulative nature, being full of yourself, lazy, prideful, full of yourself, whatever, our shadow nature goes on and on. And you could meet some people that maybe they haven't, again, a way even of just viewing life that you think is just and fair. So let's go see what it says. The Moon, the Page of Cups, the Two of Cups, and the King of Wands. And the card not showing itself is the Six of Wands. So, well, some people could have a fear of love and being more authentic. So they get in relationships. The Hierophant and Taurus energy can talk about relationships or marriage, but they could still operate more from their ego. And so then we could kind of view them as they don't really let their more authentic nature come out to play in the world. Their more worldly, egoic nature controls their more hopeful, believing nature, and it tells them they get hurt out there. They need to let their ego run their life, their self-protective nature. So their more authentic nature looks out through the eyeballs, but their ego runs their life, where we are not going to, we don't want to get hurt. We have fear of love. We have fear of, and the Two of Cups, the Page of Cups can be all three of the water signs, emotional water signs, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. The Two of Cups is Cancer energy, which is about love of self, love of others. Some people hide that they kind of indulge themselves, and in our Cancer and Pisces and emotional nature, we can just be more about ourselves. And part of that is I make my life more about me, and I'm defensive to, maybe I don't even want to love anyone else, and I don't want other people to love themselves. I love me, and I want people in the King of Wands to be inspired to be in a relationship with me, and them be all about me. Some people are very all about themselves, and the King of Wands is Aries energy. Anyone in their Aries energy within themselves can be more about themselves, and they can indulge their more immature emotional nature. And so, the Six of Wands can talk about, which they reject, is where they work through the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands can be where they have all this inner conflict about, the Sixes can talk about balance, of being more balanced within themselves in order to be in relationships with others in a more just and fair way. But you have to work through how you kind of indulge, kind of being more about yourself, or you're not wanting to do love, because you get hurt doing love. And you'd have to, before the Ten of Wands is the Nine of Wands. To get to the Nine of Wands, we'd have to add the one wand to the Eight of Wands. So, people can move forward in friendships and relationships as like the Eight of Wands. But they could always they could get to the point in a relationship or a job or whatever, where they're kind of at that stage where they could go to that next stage of life. They just need to shed a layer of their kind of more stubborn nature, prideful nature, immature nature, fearful nature, trying to control people in relationships, being more about themselves. They'd have to be inspired within themselves to work through that inner conflict that stops them from moving forward in their life. And the Nine of Wands can be, in our dualistic nature, I can either be defensive to this and defend harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way, where I just keep repeating a pattern over and over. I never get inspired within myself to work through what it is that manipulates me, to see the truth, because the truth sets us free. And to get to the Three of Swords, we had to be in the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is where we're still kind of maybe in two minds, where can I play both sides of the fence? Can't I present myself as a just and fair and loving person, but then kind of hide that I'm kind of more about myself, might like to indulge myself in a relationship, might like it to be more about me, might like to kind of control people in a relationship, and stay in denial of that truth. And then can't I get in relationships with people who maybe have worked through that issue and they are within themselves more aligned with their hopeful, believing, loving nature, and they're loving and encouraging? Can I just move forward with those people? It's like, you can, but eventually it's probably going to end in heartbreak because your truth is different. The high vibe people are inspired within themselves, in their free will, dualistic nature, to want to be in relationships because of love. Be in deep, meaningful, authentic, loving, encouraging, just, fair relationships. It's not more about you. It's not more about me. We're working together for this common goal. Is that your truth or is it not? And they're like, well, there's things about it I would like and everything, but I just don't really want to maybe act with more character and integrity. Maybe not have to really walk the talk. Can't I just look like I walk the talk? Quack like it's love, look like it's love, but I don't really want to do love. I get hurt doing love. But then a loving person won't be in a relationship with someone who's come out from behind their ego and their self-protected defensive nature to be vulnerable and authentic. And if they're not willing to do that, the relationship can't grow. It can only go so far. And then they have to go back to the beginning in a way because they're not willing to come out from behind their ego or their defensive nature, or quit defending their more immature ways of being, or bossy ways of being, or manipulative ways of being, or something. So some people hide, they still kind of think it's just and fair to either be in relationships where they can either kind of try to control people, manipulate people, where it's more about them. And if it's not more about them, then they don't want to be in it. If they can't control and manipulate people, then go away, I'll find someone else to control and manipulate. I want it more about me. You're not willing to make it more about me? Well, then to heck with you. I'm going to go find someone else who will just make it more about me. So there's shadowy people in the world who try to create the illusion that they harness high vibe Virgo energy, that they are someone who is motivated and inspired to walk the talk, temper their more immature egoic nature of self, to be inspired, to move forward, work together with others in a just and fair way, and inspired within themselves to want to do that. But some people just create the illusion. Look at my status, look at my image, look at my charm, look at my money, look at my looks, look at my physique, look at whatever. Whatever they think they got going. And then they think people should buy into the illusion, which people did for quite a while. And people could have been helped each other through difficult times. You could have been loving and encouraging kind of to each other. But eventually, again, is it going to move forward And again, with some of the people, it is going to keep moving forward. But there can always be some people that it's like kind of in their fire sign nature within themselves. They could be more caught up in the illusion of the world, status, ego, image, or themselves. Or if there are things that, whatever it is that they make more important in their life than being in an authentically more just, fair, and balanced and loving relationship. And for some people, they are very much either about themselves or ego or image. They either want to be indulged, or ego and image and status and how things appear in the world is the most important thing to them. And they're willing to sacrifice, in our fire sign energy, which we all are, probably we can be a loving person, but in our fire sign energy, we can be really kind of manipulated by our worldly nature because there's things in the world that we really want to manifest. Some people, of course, went on that journey of indulging in all the things and trying to manifest the things that they want. But, it's not more just about them or the ego or the image or the status of it. That isn't what their long-term goal was, because Virgo can be, what is our long-term goal? What is our truth? And for some people, their long-term goal and truth was, it's more about the world. It's more about them. It's more about the ego or the image or the status of it. And they could have not been inspired within themselves. They don't harness a more high vibrational Leo energy. They harness a more shadowy, worldly Leo energy. It's more about me or these things of the world. That's the most important thing. And other people are like, I want those things of the world too, but I want a balance. And that's high vibe Virgo. Do I want some of these things of the world just like everybody else? Yes. But I'm not willing to sacrifice truth, justice, my dreams, my aspirations to have those things. And other people are like, hell, I'm willing to give those things up. This is the most important thing. Or I'm the most important thing. It has to be more about me. It's like, well, okay, well, then you can find someone who's willing to just make it more about you. And that's what some shadowy people in your life didn't realize, that, and we can all think that we think the same. The people who are more motivated by truth and justice and fairness and balance, they can think everybody thinks that way. And then they come to find out, ooh, that isn't not how everybody thinks. We live in a world of duality where people have to be given free will choice. So for every person who's kind of more motivated and inspired by love, there's going to be people on the opposite side that could look like you, act like you, present themselves like you, but they're not motivated and inspired by love as the driving factor in their life. It's maybe more of how it will benefit them, or the ego or the image or the status of it. They're tipped out of balance more in favor of being inspired more by themselves or manipulated by these things of the world. And it can be really hard to get out or distance ourselves from some of those friendships or relationships with people or workplaces, because there can be a lot of things we liked about it. And the people in it, or those people, we could have love for them. But if they do aren't being loving and encouraging for us to invest in our truth, believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams. They don't want us to move forward like that. They want us to maybe make our life more about them again, or conforming to the world. High vibe energy is about being independent in the world. if everybody keeps repeating old patterns, we're never going to give birth to anything new. So shadowy energy at the big picture is kind of represented by the devil. High vibe energy at the big picture kind of represented by God. God's like, could we learn the lessons we were meant to learn from this life experience and move forward? And that's high vibe Virgo. Let's take the lessons that we learned, kind of see what are the good building blocks that are good to take with, and what are some of the things we learned aren't such good things to move forward with anymore. And we kind of get out of our ego. We had a lot of lessons to learn on this journey. We're fallible human beings. We made a lot of mistakes. Everybody else made a lot of mistakes. But high vibe people's intuition tells them to offer love to themselves and the situation so they can get out of their ego about it and accept that everybody is where they're at. They're the type of person they are. They like and view and think whatever way they want to live life is just and fair, and they can. I wish you peace. I hope that works out for you. I don't think that's my truth. And my truth is I am inspired within myself, even though the Six of Wands leaves behind the Five of Wands, even though I could have inner conflict about it, I kind of think our truth is different, you know? Could I have love for you, but I think you're just more about yourself or these things of the world, and then you want me to make it more about you or these things of the world? But that's not my truth. Yes, I want to be in friendship and relationship. Yes, I want a job, but I want to be in relationship with people whose truth is that they're more motivated and inspired to work together with people in how I view being more just and fair. And, you know, shadowy energy can be where people don't want to see the truth that they're not being just and fair. They're trying to use the fact that maybe people love them or people want to be in friendship or relationship with them or something to like manipulate them. And high vibe people don't want to manipulate anybody. I want to be loving and encouraging to people. I also want people to be loving and encouraging to me. For us all to love and believe in ourselves, treat each other the way we like to be treated so we can all get justice in the world. And you can grow to your full potential and I can grow to my full potential. But some people in our life is like, but I don't want to do that. I want to do this. It's like, well, then do that. But I'm going to become independent of you. And I am going to go invest in my truth. And you can find someone else who wants to repeat that pattern. I have been there. I have done that. I stood there for a long time, probably defending it. Even when it didn't feel victorious and successful, or just or fair or balanced or loving. Because I did have a hard time leaving it. But eventually it kind of gets more overwhelming and more hurtful and painful to keep staying in it. And that's when people can't stay in denial of the truth anymore. If people wanted to work together with me in a more just and fair and balanced way, act with character and integrity, be less, about them or the ego or things that manipulate them, they would. But, they are where they're at, and they have probably different things within them and outside of them and friends or family or the world that manipulates them. And until they work through that, and if they ever do, which some never will, those things will keep manipulating them. And it's like, well, those things don't manipulate me like that. So I wish you peace and love. You do you, and what you think is just and fair, and I'm going to go do me, what I think is just and fair. And high vibe people are going to have a new beginning. They're not wanting to repeat an old pattern that some people in their life are wanting to repeat. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy that they might not see coming? Well, also, some of you have done this work to kind of distance yourself from other people and met other people, and some of those people fall off and doing what they're doing, and other people moving forward with you. Again, I think, you can be someone with other people who've gone through this, and now you're moving forward. And it's kind of like, I'm looking for people who kind of are on the same page as me. that have went through some things that they didn't think were just and fair, where they thought people were trying to control them or emotionally manipulate them or use the love that they had for them to manipulate them, playing mental mind games. It's like, you know, and just like other people in the world have went through this, they're kind of like, is anybody going to come along in the world that's more on the same page as me? Because I don't want to go do this again. And then you could be someone who comes forward towards someone. And then as you're moving forward, other people could come towards you, but they might have to work through their own defensiveness of working through, you know, some of their defensiveness, right? And it could be getting to just know people that, because if people have been around people that were more shadowy before, that wore a very good false mask, they're kind of leery of, getting in a relationship with other people too quickly, right? So it could just be this time period here of getting to know people and everybody kind of listening to their intuition about who is more immature, who's more self-indulgent, who's more stubborn, who's more prideful, who seems to be more balanced, who seems to be more authentically themselves, and is kind of sorting the wheat from the chaff. And then as people see who kind of keeps moving forward, being less manipulated by things and people or repeating poor past patterns, who kind of walks the talk, isn't more tempted in maybe their lust or greed and pride and ego or indulging themselves in poor behavior or other people in poor behavior. And then that's when some of those people could decide, I think this person is who they are, and some of these people aren't who they are, and I am going to align. But, shadowy energy can be where people want to more conform to the world, hide in the herd. High vibe energy is shining your more authentic light and living your authentic truth. And it can be hard for other people to step out from the herd to be willing to kind of get out of their ego and see how their ego manipulates them, how other people they could love could manipulate them. Sometimes we can have people in our life who they don't really want to walk the talk. High vibe Taurus is like being a spiritual leader in the world. You are who you say you are. High vibe Leo is that you're not wearing a false mask. You've went through enough life experience to kind of know your truth. Taurus is about our philosophy of life. I know my truth. I've had enough life experience. I've dealt with enough people. I've lived enough life experience myself to know what is just, fair, immature, prideful, egotistical, controlling, manipulative. And I went through my own battles to be more independent, to kind of love my own self and align with my more hopeful, believing nature, my own inner child nature that is sad when I don't live my more authentic life and stand up for myself and let all these things within me and outside of me manipulate me. And I'm not going to keep staying sad and heartbroken. I'm not going to indulge people anymore in a relationship if it's not just and fair. And some of the shadowy people in your life, well, they view your way as not victorious and successful because their idea of what's victorious and successful is where it's either more about them or them being indulged or more about these things of the world. It's like, well, then you go do that. And you're going off on a new journey to get the justice you deserve. And, you'll meet other people on your journey, and you might encourage and inspire other people to go on that journey with you or in their own life. So what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy? that they might not see coming. But we have to be willing to stand up to our own shadow nature and people in our life. We can have people in our life who don't want us to be more independent, really love and believe in ourselves because they don't. And they're living their life a certain way. Well, it would bother them if you went and really lived your life and were more, didn't let things that manipulate them manipulate you. And that would bother them and maybe kind of have them in their ego, and they'd kind of want to do it too. And then that would cause problems in their life. And so instead of dealing with their own issues and living their more authentic life and working with you, they just try to stop you from doing it. And let's all do this. Then none of us will have a problem, because nobody we're in friendship or relationship is being more inspired to do life any differently. Wonderful. And the people who are, let's be defensive to them and leave them out in the cold because we defend this. And we don't like being around people. We like to view ourselves as very just and fair and loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging. Oh, but by the way, we kind of manipulate people, and we're kind of controlling, and we're kind of more about us and our ego and our image. And you illuminate a higher truth and justice than how we live life, and we don't like it, so we want you gone, and we don't want to move forward with you anymore. And some people were heartbroken by people who did that. Other people have people doing that to them in their life right now, and they're letting those people keep doing it. Some people got tired of it, and it's like, I can't make other people change, but the whole thing is, if we're not on the same page, we're not on the same page. But I'm not going to give up my truth. And so some of those people were bold and brave enough within themselves to go on this new journey, close out a cycle with people in their life who their truth is different. What drives and motivates them is different. What they view as victorious and successful, how they view life, what they think is just and fair. And those people were willing to move forward to get the justice they deserve. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy? The Knight of Cups, and the reason that came out is because of the Four of Cups. So the Four of Cups is taking that cup of love. We have the free will to manifest what we want to manifest in the world, and so does everyone else. It's just that some people aren't inspired to be more independent, is high vibe Virgo energy, from the world, from their immature nature, from their egoic nature, from their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego nature. Other people did learn lessons in life. They learned to love themselves. They learned to temper their more egoic nature and to hold themselves accountable and grow and mature themselves and learn lessons in life and be inspired and are inspired to keep learning lessons in life. They keep giving themselves that cup of love, and that cup of love that God offers them, and people in their life who do offer them love and encouragement, not the people who don't want them to love and believe in themselves and let them just keep manipulating them. It's like, no, I'm going to keep taking that cup of love, and because of that, you're going to be able to move forward in the Knight of Cups, because you could have felt sad and heartbroken that some people that you love weren't offering you that cup of love in return to do more equal give and take. And it's kind of like, okay, if you don't want what I am offering and you are more wanting to defend it being about you or whatever, then I wish you peace. I'm going to take that cup of love. I'm going to give it to myself. I will invest in me instead of investing in you, because I am not getting equal give and take here. Nothing is changing. I accept that that's your truth. Then go enjoy your life. And I'm going to close out a cycle with you, and I'm going to go invest in my truth. And the Knight of Cups and Pisces, wanting to be in relationships that are based on love, that where people are inspired by love. Sagittarius, fire sign, being inspired. Pisces, emotional water sign, Cancer energy, inspired by love. And for it to be just and fair, based in truth and love, treating other people the way you like to be treated. I will go love myself, and I've accepted the truth. I've accepted the truth that some other people did not want me to see the truth of. If it had been more just and fair and loving and encouraging and authentic, I wouldn't have left. But while I'm trying to move something forward in a more just and fair way, the other people are not inspired to do that. They want to keep doing this. It's like, I finally accept the truth of it. Am I sad? Am I kind of heartbroken? Yeah. But I'm not willing to give up my dreams. Your dream, apparently, of the idea of the dream life is different than my idea of the dream life. So enjoy, and I'm going to go be inspired to invest my time, energy, and effort into other people in the world who might have learned some of the same lessons I've learned, and be inspired to want to be in more just and fair and balanced relationships. And again, some people, it's like, if it's not more about them and them being able to manipulate people or be in a relationship with people more for these reasons of the world of high vibe people might not have as much status, image, or money as other people, but they're in friendships and relationships with people who they enjoy, that are loving and encouraging back to them. Shadowy people could indulge in a lot of relationships with people just for, not because they view them as victorious and successful, but it's good for their ego or their image. They think it'll benefit them in some way. And it's kind of more out of their own self-interest. High vibe energy is, kind of, when is enough enough? How much do I need it to be about me? How much some people, they're consumed with all those things. Other people are like, I'm inspired to put in work and effort to be victorious and successful in the world. We all want stability and security, but I'm also inspired by truth and love. And that's where some of the other people, that's not their truth. It's like, well, I'm going to go find the people who are. And I think you will meet some people who are more on the same page as you. And as you're moving forward, you walking the talk, being loving and encouraging to people, not trying to manipulate and control people. Also, not letting other people manipulate and control you. You keep doing your truth. You're going to meet people who appreciate it, and some of the other people who could have been defensive because of people they've dealt with in their life could eventually realize, you know what, I think that person is who they say they are, and I am going to move forward with them. Because that's the thing. We can all have had, the moon can talk about our fears, our fear of love, because we've dealt with other people who are more controlling or immature, and, we didn't know they were wearing, like, a false mask, or they just drifted their life off into the ditch over time. And, that would be the devil, right? The devil wants to control us. We are going to go through these experiences with people. It's all this journey. That's high vibe Sagittarius. It's this journey of learning all these lessons. We have so many lessons to learn. Human beings are so complex, the things that manipulate them and control them, and it can be different for different people. And as we get older, that people can be better at wearing a false mask. But the more we're inspired to more listen to our intuition and not be more tempted when we're getting to know people in our worldly nature and our want for these things and our lust and our greed. We would more listen to our intuition when it tells us, no, I don't think this person's on the same page. Keep them in the friend zone. You can still know them and everything, but don't move forward more with those people until you get to know them more. And that could have been a big thing because in our more worldly, egoic nature, pride comes before the fall, and we think we're so smart. And we could think, because we're inspired by love, that everybody's inspired by love. And I'm going to get in a relationship with this person. And even though they could be this way and that way, everybody's motivated by love, aren't they? And then we find out, no. And they are the way they are because of their own situations and things they need to work through. And I'm going to quit trying to change people. When I meet people and they show me they're more defensive, they're more bossy, they're more full of themselves, they got some addiction issues or something. Yeah, no more thinking I'm God. God's been working with them in their life and so have all their friends and family. And if they still aren't more independent of some of those things that I could have become independent of, I'm going to treat them like I treat everyone in the world, like I like to be treated, but I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm not going to get in a more involved relationship with them. I already did that with people, and I found out that I need to be willing to kind of humble myself. High vibe energies, being more humble. I can't change people. I can be, and it's not a reflection of my worth and value or if I was lovable. I can only offer people truth and love to work together with them. And then we see how things go. And if over time I see that, oh, you haven't learned to love yourself, oh, you're overwhelmed, oh, you're kind of more immature, oh, you're more codependent, oh, I accept the truth of it. And, I don't move forward in a more involved relationship. Can I still be in a friendship with you, still know you? Yeah. But am I going to keep moving forward in a more... No. Because we're just on a different page of what we think is kind of just and fair in a relationship. And if you haven't learned to love yourself, you can be a loving person to others, but then when they try to love you, you can be defensive to it, maybe because you don't think you're worthy of it, not used to it, out of your comfort zone. And we'll all stay in our comfort zone. And we could reject loving people because we haven't learned to love ourselves. And then we go on this journey repeating an old pattern. And it's like, why the hell am I not in relationships with people who are more just and fair and loving? I have been very loving and encouraging here. And then it's kind of like we do think, I do deserve love. And then we communicate to the people in our life, if you want to stay in this relationship, it needs to change. I don't need to change you, but if that's not your truth, that's not your truth. And I will be leaving. And then that's when people move on. And we could go through all these life experiences trying to help us get more clear about what our truth is, what we think is just and fair in a relationship, what we're sacrificing to be in a relationship. And it should be that people are loving and encouraging and supportive of us like we're loving and encouraging of them. We should be encouraging each other to keep facing your fears, keep moving forward. And I think for some, the way I kind of look at it is that the shadowy people, their shadow nature is kind of in control of their life right now. Because we have this dualistic nature, this battle, the Six of Wands overcomes the Five of Wands. The battle exists within all of us because we have our dualistic nature. High vibe people got in the driver's seat and offer love and compassion and forgiveness to themselves and their issues from the past to keep moving forward, having love and belief in themselves. The other people didn't win the battle yet and may never. And their high vibe nature is like sitting there, dang, we'd really like to go do that, but we can't because their shadow nature's in the driver's seat, And they're going to keep doing that some of them forever, because they're not, just like you kind of keep your shadow nature in the back seat, they could keep their more loving nature in the back seat, and their shadow nature is always in the driver's seat of their life. But I would view their loving nature as wishing other people peace and good wishes, that you're moving forward in a way that we wish we could move forward, but we can't, because, shadow nature represented by the devil, there's some things that got a stranglehold on some people. People in their life that they're codependent on, illusions that they have, things they don't want to see the truth about. A lot of maybe growing up and maturing that they have to do. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming? The Queen of Cups, the Strength card, the Ace of Pentacles, the Nine of Wands, the Nine of Swords, and the Ten of Swords. And the reason that came out is because of the Queen of Cups. So I view the Queen of Cups as Scorpio energy. And Scorpio is fixed sign energy, but it can talk, and Leo's fixed sign energy, and Taurus is fixed sign energy. Some people, the shadowy people emotionally, they still don't want to see the truth. Both the Pentacle can be about Virgo nature within ourselves, goes within to come out with the truth. And then we can use that truth in our life to move forward in life. If we're willing to be illuminated to the truth, we work through our defensiveness, our fears and insecurities. We see how we backstab and betray ourselves, and how other people maybe are backstabbing and betraying ourselves, because we could be just tipped out of balance, kind of letting our love for something, it could be a substance, it could be a person, a status, an image, and people. But again, love is to be just and fair. And we will go on some hard lessons in life if we're not willing to stand up for our truth, that love is to be just and fair, and you are supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. But the different ways this could be read is some people love, again, being more about themselves. Quite prideful, egotistical, or full of themselves. Might like to stay in denial of the truth, that they're more full of themselves. Defensive to seeing the truth, from the Nine of Swords to the Ten of Swords, would be the One Sword. Can they move forward with people in relationships and it all can go pretty good and okay? It does, until we get to that Nine of Wands, where the people that they're in relationship with want them to take that cup of love, offer love, do love, and they're like shadowy fire sign energy. Well, I want to use my sexuality manipulatively. I want to use my emotions manipulatively. I want to use my words, my charm, my looks, my money. I want to use all those things manipulatively. That's like the devil, right? I'm defensive of doing love. I'm fearful of love. I could get hurt doing love. So I don't really want to invest in love. I'm not inspired to do love. I could get hurt doing love. I want to be in the relationship. I enjoy relationships. I can put in work and effort to have stability and security and be just and fair, treat you in a just and fair and kind of loving way, but I just won't, in high vibe Leo of themselves, authentically let my more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play in the world. They get hurt out there. And that's when some people realize my dream can't come into reality here. And some of those people could be doing that. See, but they want to be loved. They kind of create an illusion, some of them, that they're a more high vibe person to get more high vibe people who are more balanced, inspired by love, to get in a relationship with them. And then they hope once they get them in the relationship with them, because those people love them, that then they'll keep staying in the relationship while they kind of indulge in it without really, more authentically, investing themselves in it. And eventually the high vibe people in their life are kind of feel like they're missing an opportunity in love and kind of sad because the relationship doesn't grow and mature itself over time. Because they would have to be willing to do love and quit emotionally being more about them and their more self-protective nature, or it having to be more about them, or they other people, it could be that they're codependent on other people or the world, and it's more about those things and they are unwilling to see the truth of it, that is kind of the driving factor of why they get in relationships and stay in relationships. And it's more about them or the ego or the image. Other people see the truth of it, and it's like, I don't want to stay in the relationship for this reason. So they're really motivated by these things of the world or themselves. And of course, they think that's just and fair, and it makes logical, practical sense because that's where they're at. And they could always be surprised when other people are defensive to making their life about that or whatever it is that they make their life about. That those people love themselves enough to stand up to them, other people, the world, because they're not willing to. And that you're willing to be more independent, not willing to let them or other things or whatever manipulate you in that way, the way it manipulates them. Because they could have things and people in their life that they love the world, love the status, the ego, the image, have friends and family that they love, but they may never stand up for themselves and be more independent. So all those things manipulate them. But because they love them, they're not willing, and so you love them, then you should let all those things manipulate you. And it's like, well, I might love you, but all those other things don't manipulate me like that. But I see those things manipulate you, and it is kind of like a third party in the relationship. The third party in my relationship with someone is supposed to be love, not all these other things. And if that's your truth, then I wish you peace and I'm moving on. And some of these people who are doing that could have other people moving on. We can all have love for people and defensive to distancing ourselves from them. But when people keep repeating old patterns over and over, we get tired of indulging people in their poor behavior. So I think more high vibe people will leave their life, but there's other people in the world that don't want to do love. Could be more about ego, image, or more codependent, who want to be in a relationship with them. Or, they got lessons to learn about people like this too. And then it'll be up for those people at some time to decide, is this your truth or is it not? If it's not, then let's move forward, take that cup of love, see the truth, and let's move forward with people who are more on the same page as you. But if this is your truth, there's always going to be other people in our people's lives at any stage of their life that view life that same way. And encourage other people to live their life that way. And they'll probably find other people, but basically, if you know some people who you might feel some people have some healing or growing and maturing to do. You could think they're more immature, more prideful, bossy, or controlling. Those people, in turn, could have people in their life that they think are more controlling. It's all kind of relative, but everybody's kind of trying to find people who are more on the same page as them. It's just that some of these people, there's always going to be people in our life who don't want us to keep loving and believing in ourselves because they want to keep doing things a certain way. And, you know, when we have people in our life who offer us love and encouragement to work through our fears and our insecurities and our self-limiting beliefs, and we choose not to move forward with them, even though we could be stressed about it, but that's not our truth, or we're not comfortable within ourselves, or whatever, they're going to go repeat an old pattern. And there is going to be heavy resistance, just like there was for you. It isn't easy to close out a cycle. Your own shadow nature doesn't want you to do it. Other people in your life don't want you to do it. You have to be determined. Some phases of life are easier to move out of than others. When we were 15 going to 18, 18 to 21, there was a bunch of people, yeah, I want to go get an apartment. Yeah, I want to move out. Yeah, I want to go get a new job. You know, but to become more independent in the world and maybe some significant foundations in your life and kind of seeing the truth of, I don't think this is just and fair, that can be harder, and people can be more defensive to it. But I think the high vibe people offer people love. I've tried to work together with you in a just and fair way. It doesn't seem to move forward in that way, or you know it's not going to last. You know, you're just waiting for the next time to be backstabbed, or somebody acts immature, and it's like, you know, it's kind of looking for people that is the truth of who they are, and that is their new philosophy of life. They've put this old philosophy of life behind them. There is consistency. It is the truth of who they are. You can count on them. And you know, some people, that's not the truth of who they are. So I think you'll definitely keep your distance. And I think the other people, they will be happy to stay where they're at, because that is still what drives and motivates them. If it's to be in a relationship where they don't have to do love, yeehaw. If I can be in a relationship, what? You're not going to require me to become more independent of some people or things that manipulate me? Wonderful. I don't want to become independent of those things or those people. I don't have to offer love to myself and work through my past pain and heartbreak to set myself free. Wonderful. You know, so they could be thinking they're living the dream life. It's just that there was the potential there for them to free themselves from some things that manipulate them, and they didn't. And there could be a part of them that knows that, but they say, I'm sure I'll be happy continuing to make my life about this. And so they're kind of indulging maybe some poor behavior in themselves and maybe some poor behavior in others. Now, not everybody has to want to be in a relationship with you. If people, anybody, there could be people you want to have move forward with you. They're already in friendships and relationships, and they're doing that with other people. They can be high vibe people. It's just that some of the people you kind of maybe wanted to be in a relationship with, you found out get in a relationship with someone else. Well, it's having that faith and belief that I'm not going to get my ego about it. God ultimately knows the truth of what drives and motivates people, what their long-term goals and plans are, and the mix of the life that would make them happy. And God kind of knows the mix of what would make me happy. And I'm going to keep listening to my intuition that the divine has a plan for my life. And I definitely know what I don't want to keep repeating. So I'm moving on. There you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.